Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LZ Sports Show. I am Mark Adam. I'll be your host today. I'm joined by a few people for the first hour and some different bodies for the second hour, and it's just going to be great. This is the first time we're rolling on a Sunday. This is our once-a-week spot, 1 to 3, every Sunday, right here on our YouTube channel, Twitch channel, Facebook page, wherever you want to watch live. Comment along. We do have this wonderful little chat box thing going on right here, and so you can fill this up with all your thinks. If you have comments, questions, concerns, whatever you want, just load it up. Don't forget, you can follow us on all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. Do like and subscribe. It goes a long way. It might not mean that much to you, but the algorithm, the way it works, the more people like and subscribe and share, the more eyeballs it gets in front of. That's how it works. So you can really help us out by going and doing that. You can also call or text the WPG Sports Line 431-800-4555, or you can email the LZ at thewpg.ca as well. That will get you what you need. Let's talk to my co-host who's here this week. We missed you last week, sir. This is Keith McKnight. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you? It's great to be back. I really honestly wouldn't want to be anywhere else, honestly.
Well, so I'm glad you're here too.
I miss both of you. I miss the energy. I miss the environment, enthusiasm. I miss the excitement. So here we are. Like you said, we're rolling on a Sunday. It's the first day of the week. Let's get it going. I know the Jets are out of the playoffs, but, I have a couple conspiracies that are not conspiracies. They're actual legitimate research that I would like to share with the upset Jets fans. Okay? There's a bigger picture here. So, Zoner, I hear you giving me a chuckle over there. I know. Missed you as well. Mark, it's good to talk to you both right now.
Yeah, it's great. And, as you mentioned Zoner, so let's bring him in here. Zoner, how are you today, sir?
Hi, doing pretty good. Thank you very much.
Well, an unfortunate end to the year. Don't forget, you can fill the chat box up there with your comments as we go. But I thought we would start by talking about the season as it was and sort of get memories of a season past and get that going. So what are your thoughts there, gentlemen? What was your favorite memory from this season as far as the Jets are concerned? Let's start with Zoner.
Yes, please. Let's see what you have to say, my man. There's a lot of things to touch base here with.
Favorite memory is probably in the middle of that gigantic long road trip they had in the middle of March, and everything was going right for them, right? And it, to me, the biggest highlight was probably them in Toronto with Mitch Marner on the power play, dangling or something, and Ehlers just hounded him for the puck, chased him down, scored a highlight reel goal, and that's when I said, wow, this is for real now. Like the Jets are just taking over. And Ehlers, to me, like that was one of many highlights that he had this season, but that was the one that sticks out in your head or my head, because it's okay, he's arrived. Like this is for real now. He's entering another phase in his career. So that to me is one that really sticks out in my mind.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I really, really like that one. That's a great memory. Good job. Let's throw it over to you, Mr. McKnight. Thoughts on your favorite memory from this season?
Honestly, that massive win streak as well, where everything was going right for them. I have to, not to just pinpoint this, with that one particular game like Zoner, not to undermine that, but the Jets had a point in time in this season where, like he just said, they were clicking. Everything was on, and everything was going right. They couldn't really be steered in the wrong direction, and then all of a sudden, boom, they collapsed. And it's just a lot of inconsistencies, but nonetheless, it's just like they really gave everybody a sense of hope, and for everyone who wrote them off, including myself, showed us, those individuals, that this team can really play, this team can really win, and they just ran into a more hungrier Montreal Canadiens team, and no disrespect to them, the Jets wrote off one of the best teams in the NHL to get past the first round, and one of Manitoba's finest. Mark, you know how much I love him, and so do you, Zoner, is head coach Barry Trotz. He says the first round is the hardest round to get out of, and the Jets got out of the hardest round, and they beat a really good team doing that, and that's something that people shouldn't be overlooking either. So definitely those two things definitely stuck out to me.
Yeah, that was pretty great. I think the biggest thing you kind of stole mine with the Ehlers showing Marner up kind of thing, but I think the Logan Stanley coming in and his first goal. I think Logan Stanley, his season was really my favorite part of the season. Is he had a very successful rookie year in the NHL, despite not getting played as much as he probably should have been. So when I look at this, I really think, as far as memories go, like, it's all the little things that these young, talented players were doing. And also, I want to point out, Mason Appleton might be my favorite memory. If you remember the goal where Andrew Kopp gave him perfect saucer pass, and then Mason Appleton just went and did Mason Appleton-y things, absolutely turns two defenders inside out, and then scores the goal while falling down. I just thought that is a superstar move. And, he didn't really have as big a blow-up season as I was expecting after that, but he stuck it out, and he's been working his butt off, and he's looked really, really good all year. But that might be my favorite memory, was watching Mason Appleton, have a superstar moment where you're like, man, this kid's got something, and we'll hopefully see a little more of that in the coming seasons. That is assuming we get to keep him.
Before you hold that thought right there, I want to ask you, because we're on the Appleton topic here. With his play, did he not solidify his spot on this team?
I would say
I kind of think he did, or he's letting them know it's like, hey, you need to pay attention to me. I want to be here, I want to play, and I'm good.
He certainly made his case.
Okay, perfect, right? You got to give him something, right? Let it be solidifying or cementing his place on the roster. He definitely made an impact, and I like where you went with that. He definitely made his case, and he isn't somebody who should be overlooked or written off. And I'm glad
that doesn't mean that they're going to save him, though. That doesn't mean they're going to save. That doesn't mean they're going to save him. But he did make his case. I think he made a very strong case to be kept, and I would like to see it. I know there's a lot of fans talking in the Reddit threads about, who should we expose and who should we not, and da-da-da-da-da. And I think from your main squad, you can protect 7 forwards and 3 defensemen or something like that. And
yes.
So you have to imagine they're going to save on the defensive side. They're going to save Josh Morrissey, you have to think. Dylan DeMello. And then I would like to see Logan Stanley. Right?
I don't think his agent is going to let him be protected. I think his agent is going to get a little aggressive, and he's going to just say, like, hey, you haven't done enough with my player. Logan Stanley is a very promising hockey player, right? And if he's not going to get the opportunities that I think he has made more of his case. No, I can't compare that because it's two completely different positions. But Logan Stanley, I don't know. He has a lot of promise. I don't want to compare him to anybody else on the team, but if he's not going, because there was a couple games where even Mark, you said, well, why isn't he playing? Why isn't he playing? And I said, well, that's probably why. Like, he's not going to be okay with being on a team that's not going to give him the chance, because he works extremely hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And I would love to see him just play that much more. He's a consistent player. He knows what to do. He sticks up for his teammates. You saw that. Like, he tossed that. Who was it he tossed around in Edmonton when he got in his way? And I was just like, you're actually going to mess with Logan Stanley. Like, really? Or sorry, not Edmonton. Ottawa it was. I'm sorry.
Was it? Oh, well, sure. I don't remember off the top of my head, to be honest. Yeah, but yeah. Let's see what Zoner thinks of all that.
If we rewind a bit back to Appleton, or Stanley. I think he's definitely worth protecting, because the Jets are so thin on defense, and right now for the young guys coming up, you've got Stanley, Heinola, and Sami Niku. and Niku can't see the light of day in Paul Maurice's scheme. So it's basically two guys, right, who are the next round of defensemen coming up, and that's it. And so it's pretty thin. The other thing is that Stanley is unique, as in he's 6'7", and he's got a shot. His skating could use some work, but it's hard to replace 6'7". And so far, he hasn't. Like with some bigger guys, like they have the impression of being too slow to keep up with the small guys, right? And being like just getting beat around on the outside like it's nothing. But so far that hasn't been the case with him. He's been smart enough to be able to maintain his positioning and to be agile enough to keep up. When he still needs to work on it though. But I think he's worth keeping.
And did he not make his case as well during the whole
the playoff run?
Yeah, and then he scored two goals in a game that he gave them a chance to win, and he played well defensively on top of scoring those two goals. And you know what I mean? Like, he carried the team that day as a as a 6'7" monster. Sure, it looks like he should be able to carry the team.
The fact that the two of you brought that up, yeah, because I completely forgot that as well. And yes, I'm thank you both for reminding me that, because he literally gave them a chance to win. You boys are so right about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's
a game that mattered so much because, as statistics go, right? Like, games aren't played on paper; they're played on the ice, right? So Montreal showed that they could come back from 3-1, and it's just Logan Stanley just refused to go down. He's like, look, this is not over till it's over. Like, and good for him, and right on him. So yes, like he's definitely. I'm glad you boys brought that up.
At the very least, he's worth keeping because he's the one Jet who can really shoot. One defenseman who can really shoot.
That's right. And when we talk about keeping, because I'm glad when we talk about protecting players, and you can both laugh at me when I ask you this: is the expansion draft and the actual draft like two different things? So clearly it is, because it's named two different things. So Seattle will have the expansion draft just for themselves, but they will still
stop bumping your computer, man. Stop bumping the microphone. We can't hear your words.
That means Seattle will still pick in the expansion draft, but then they'll also have a pick in the actual draft?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. It's all about Seattle.
Yeah, it is the Seattle year. And the rules favor this team heavily. They favor the incoming team heavily, where before the Vegas Golden Knights did it, the system was so different. And it was not so favorable to the teams coming in, which is why when people, you have an expansion team, you just expect them to not be very good for a couple of years while they figure themselves out and build. And I mean, look at Florida. When did they come in? Because they figured it out, this year? Anyway, they...
they had a cup run.
Yeah, they
the year the Rats, right? When the Rats are falling from the ceceiling.
I'm being a little harsh. I'm exaggerating a little bit. But
they had Pavel Bure. We got to give him some credit.
Oh yeah, and Pavel Bure, man, that guy was no joke. But when you look at previous drafts and of expansion drafts, when Florida and Anaheim and San Jose, when all those teams came in, it was a terrible deal for them. It was an uphill climb financially in markets that were untested and unproven. And I mean, obviously it kind of worked out for them in the long run, but those teams had a lot harder time building who they were. And then when they did this whole Vegas expansion draft, the way that they did it, the buy-in was steep, but the benefit was so high. They got to pick the pockets of everybody in such a way that they just absolutely killed it. And one team coming in doesn't have any competition for who's picking these players. So Vegas was immediately a cup contender that very year, as Mr. Keith McKnight was quick to point out on a previous show that we used to do back in the day. When they first came out, his statement day one was, I think Vegas is going to go and they're going to win the cup this year. And
because it wasn't. I believe
it was literally their white gloves. That's all it was.
I know. I just believe. I believe.
But they got some really good players right out of the gate.
Overlooked players. Yes, they did. They pulled the whole Moneyball thing in that movie with Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt with the Oakland Athletics. They were just like, look, within this league, there are enough guys that can be picked to get you to where you want. And when you say that they bought into it, the one thing that, and I only found this out the other day talking to Dr. Avinash Kumar, one of our fans in Coon Rapids there, I think a lot of people forgot that the family that owns the Vegas Golden Knights used to own the Sacramento Kings. So they have a lot of experience with professional sports. The Sacramento Kings, when that family owned that team, had a lot of Western Conference success and intense experience playing against the Lakers, and they had numerous superstars. So when that family got out of the basketball game, it didn't surprise me that they were able to aggressively go after superstars because they don't shy away from spending money.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
And they can sell the Vegas lifestyle.
Literally, they absorbed it, right? Because what?
And that was another conspiracy theory that you had, Keith, that year that they had their run and they kept winning games and stuff. Because what did they go, like 9-0 in their first 9 games or something like that?
All of a sudden, Vegas becomes a hockey town out of nowhere.
But you had pointed out at the time, while this is all happening, one of your conspiracy theories was they bring these other teams in and then they take them out and let them have Vegas and let them go crazy. And then they're tired and feel like death the next day. And I was like, I don't know if that's happening so much, but that was your conspiracy theory.
It was, because I'll give you a quick story here. And Zona, you're from Vancouver. Yeah. When Steve Francis was playing for the Vancouver Grizzlies, even though he didn't want to go there, the Grizzlies went on a road trip to play. I don't recall where Sam Cassell was playing, but he literally took Steve Francis out the night before and just drained him with alcohol. And then by the time Steve Francis got home, he's like, oh, wait, it's 4 a.m. I have to be at shoot-around, a.k.a. the pregame skate or the morning skate in a couple of hours here. What am I going to do? Steve Francis played like absolute garbage. Like, it's hard to go into a city like Vegas. One, coaches don't give these men curfew, and then these guys just go out. It's a known fact. And then Vegas, these guys aren't going to pass up that opportunity. Vegas will suck the life right out of you. It brings a demon out of you.
This is why every coach probably wishes they flew into Vegas the day of the game.
Oh,
and fly right after.
You're on something there. Put that in your next Reddit article. That'll go viral.
Yeah.
Okay, so conspiracy theories with Keith and Zoner. I love it. Yeah, so, but, the expansion draft this year, just getting back to what I was talking about, is, it heavily favors the Seattle Kraken, the way that the whole thing works out. And to be fair, the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights made 1,800 backroom deals that, I'll pick this guy, but we'll trade for this guy later. We'll do this, that, and the other thing. And man, that guy was a wheeling and dealing superhero for that club. And that's one of the major reasons they have had so much success so far. And I'm pretty excited about all that. So, just quickly, I want to thank our sponsors. So we're going to go 30 seconds. We'll be right back with more Jets post-mortem on this season. Stick around. See you in a bit.
Make your house a better place to come home to with Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We've been delivering complete customer satisfaction for over 40 years. Whether it's a fully completed backyard escape, a completely renovated bathroom, or a premium upgrade on outdoor furniture, Aquatech is the only name you need to know. That's because if it's an Aquatech job, it's an Aquatech team working on it. No outsourcing, no subcontractors. We do it all. Visit our one-of-a-kind showroom today at 1065 Dugald Road. Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We create better places to come home to.
And we are back. Thank you very much to our sponsor, Aquatech Pool Spa and Bath. We greatly appreciate them. I am back with Neutral Zoner, Keith McKnight. I am Mark Adam. If you want to join us, you can go right ahead and fire your comments in the chat box. We have one. I know this is a new time for us. Normally we're at 11 a.m. after Jets games, but that's sort of what we've been doing this year. Right now, we are 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. So join us every Sunday right here
The first day of the week. That's where you need to be. Start your week off with the LZ Sports Show.
Or the last day of the week if you run your calendar starting on a Monday.
Yeah, that's true. But if you're Keith McKnight, Sunday's the first day of the week, all systems go. This is where you need to be. This is where you need to be. We are the CNN of sports.
Oh, wow. Okay. Getting ahead of ourselves, but I like it. I like the confidence. I like where your head's at. Speaking of heads, where are we on what we should be doing with Pomo? Is his job in jeopardy? Should we fire him? Let's talk about that for a second, shall we?
Zoner, let's hear what you have to say, please. Please. This is a big topic. I don't even know what to say.
It is a tough one because he's really well liked by a lot of fans, myself included. But he has had his run, right? Like he's been how long has he coached the Jets? 7 years? Probably almost 8 years. And they've done well. They've become, 2017-18 was probably the highlight, right? When they made it all the way to the semifinals. But since then, they've been a couple first-round exits and some maybe underperforming. So either that 1 year was a mirage, or maybe he's kind of reached the maximum of what he can get out of this team. I don't know. And this is one of those things as a fan who's sitting at home, I find it, there's that fine line between, is this a personnel issue or is it a coaching issue?
Right.
And it's hard to tell, right, from the TV screen. Is it that he's already got the max out of the players he's got, and it's just that the players he's got just aren't good enough? Or is it the other way around, where we need a better system, we need a better style of play to get the most out of these players? And that's really hard to guess from far away on TV or even at the rink, right, where you're not in the room. I'm guessing that he is probably the right guy for this group. Like, he's very well respected in the room. Paul Stastny kind of mentioned that earlier in the season when he was talking about his 1,000th game celebration, and he was talking about how they were right in the middle of their slump too when that happened. And so he in his post-game conference, he actually made time to acknowledge that his respect for Paul Maurice and how he was mentoring the younger guys, saying that you should appreciate this time in your careers because you may not get a coach like him in the future, which says a lot for a guy who's played 1,000 games in the NHL. It actually made me curious to see who his previous coaches were. Anyways, it'd be hard. Like you'd have to think about, okay, who are you going to replace Maurice with if you do replace him? And there's a couple interesting names out there right now in the market, aren't there? Gerard Gallant, isn't he a free agent right now?
Yeah,
I heard Tortorella's free. And
Tortorella's definitely free. Mike Keenan hasn't been in the NHL for a while. I'm sure he might work for cheap.
He might work for cheap. Yeah, pick up a discount coach.
That one, he might work for cheap. I'm going to write that one down in my book.
We'd like the dollar store coach, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Mark Crawford's been begging. Mark Crawford's been begging for a job for a little while, for a head coaching job. So who knows? There are names out there, but I don't know if any of them are a good fit for the squad we have. In terms of style of play, maybe they do need some kind of adjustment because we've been harping on this all season. Like, they lost the face-off circle, they lost the advanced stats, the zone time. Maybe they're just making it too hard on themselves to win. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I really think, and I'm going to use what Blake Wheeler said to sort of weigh my point in.
I can't wait. I think I know where you're going with this. Please say what I think you're going to say.
Well, he said, people have been talking about how, coaches lose the room, they lose the players' ears, the players stop listening, and that has never once happened with Paul. That's what he said.
Didn't Blake Wheeler say he was going to retire if Paul Maurice wasn't? He wouldn't play. He wouldn't play for anybody other than Paul Maurice. I don't mean to take.
I don't think
what
he
you're
said
going to
that.
go away with that. But I saw that on Reddit, and I was like, "Wow, that is such a strong thing to say about head coach."
I didn't hear that he said that. That's news to me. But
okay, sweet. So I didn't steal what you were going to say. Perfect.
No.
Now I don't feel guilty.
No, he said that Paul Maurice didn't lose the room. And so what I would say is the team has gotten better every single year, essentially. Right? Have they not? Did we not? Did we not have a powerhouse team this year? And next year, is it not going to be slightly better because the improvements we're going to make? We got Ville Heinola coming up. Like the way that Cheveldayoff and Paul Maurice work together. I don't like some of the things that they are doing, but I really do love a lot of the things they're doing. So
I think they peaked in 2017-18, and then since then they've been rebuilding to that point, and they started losing players, right? Especially that 1 year, 1920, where they lost Bufflin, Trouba, Myers, picked up Pionk, but they exchanged 1 for 3 basically, right? And they've been kind of recovering from that. So I think their progress was stunted because of that mass exodus of right shooting defensemen in a single season.
I don't want to single out Mark Scheifele the way that I always do, but
you're gonna.
No, I'm not going to yet. But what I'm getting at from the Winnipeg Jets is that they have a very tough time from moving on from players, not a player, but players who just don't get it done. And like, if you look at it this way, like, if we're going to question head coach Paul Maurice's job for being here for so long, I know the fan base is going to be like, well, what's wrong? Like, why is this guy still here? Well, why are we still holding on to players for 10 years? Like, we cannot continue waiting. And that's the issue. And it's just, there's going to be no hard feelings if you trade. Like, I don't want to single him out, but if you trade Scheifele, if you trade superstar, like, household names in Winnipeg, it's going to be okay. Like, there are other players out there who might come into this city. I get it. The guy likes to play here. There's a lot of guys in Winnipeg who love to play here. Brian Little said that when they moved from Atlanta, he said this was a night and day difference because, like, all people care about here is hockey. I get it. So there's a lot of other players, I think, here who are being overlooked that would like to be here in the same capacity that we're hearing that, okay, well, I love being here. Well, like, you haven't gotten anything done. And you're going to have a confident player like Nathan McKinnon from the Colorado Avalanche to go on air and say, well, I haven't won anything in this league. And I'm just like, well, you know what? Maybe we got to move on and start to look at, like, our scouting department. Because the last thing I want for the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm going to let you boys acknowledge this, I do not want the Winnipeg Jets to turn into the Minnesota Timberwolves of the National Basketball Association in the National Hockey League. Because the scouting department is about to fail this team.
I strongly disagree with where you stand on that, but at least I'm not going to try and fight you in a parking lot, so that's something. I don't know if you want to tell that story.
Bodyguard, thank you, my friend. Thank you, Zoner. I don't have to question my life here from the both of you.
But I strongly disagree with where you stand vis-a-vis Scheifele and superstar players for the Jets. I really think Scheifele is... I mean, he led the team this year in points, did he not?
He's led the team numerous years. I'm not taking anything away from that.
What is your hatred for this guy? I don't understand.
We don't win when it matters. We don't win when it matters. That's where I'm going with this. And we have to let it go.
Listen, there's 31 teams in this league. Next year there'll be 32, and one team wins every year.
Okay, you know where I'm going. Okay, you know what? To validate this, I'm listening to Sirius XM in my car. The Channel 91 NHL radio, they said that, you know, Rob Blake got the Los Angeles Kings as far as they could go in that time frame, right? And they moved on from those players. Now all of a sudden, Alec Martinez is going up against a Stanley Cup earner, one of the teammates that he earned a Stanley Cup with. Now Tyler Toffoli went up against Trevor Lewis, a guy that he won that Lord Stanley Cup with. It's just like, you know, it's okay to change it up. It's okay to move on. forget about my dislike, and I don't want to use the word hate because it's a very strong word. I know I come across of that, but maybe what I'm trying to aggressively get at, it's okay to change up these players. It's okay to make trades.
And I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm not trying to tell you like, oh, it's not okay to trade people. But my point is there's 31 teams in the league this year. Again, next year, 32. Only one team wins the Stanley Cup every year. Having a second round playoff exit, it shouldn't be a time for panic. And I mean, losing it in 4 straight was problematic. But I mean, we had a hot goaltender and a seriously underrated Habs side. But honestly,
this guy has been here for 9 years.
But
that's
actually,
a long time.
But to counter your point, he
Please
was missing from
me.
that.
I'm not trying to
missing,
you guys.
he was missing from that sweep, wasn't he, for 3 games? And last year, when they got kicked out by Calgary, he missed all but game 1. The first couple of minutes of game 1. So his absence actually shows how much he means to this team.
That is a very good point. Thank you, Zoner.
So if you're going to trade him or replace him, you're going to have to find someone equally as good, or maybe a platoon of people who are equally as good at carrying this team. That one playoff year, like that 2017-18, I keep going back, that was his coming out party, right? Where he just dominated that series against Nashville. And since then, he's proven to be the best Jets forward and one of the top centers in the league. Like this year, despite the struggles the team had, when they were doing well, he was on that insane point streak. How many games was it? 11, 12 games in a row?
Yeah. And so anyway, the point here is that the guy produces when it matters, and he's absent when they lose, which shows you, as Zoner said, when he's missing, they lose games.
We still didn't win when he was around in previous years. And I was just like,
he absolutely blew up in the playoffs one year. He was the only thing going for the Jets. What are you saying? He's the problem.
The only year that you can say, like, the only sample size is one season, which is the year against St. Louis, right? Where you'd say that he didn't show up, but he almost scored a point a game in that series. And he wasn't the only problem. It was, I think the biggest problem was Jordan Binnington on the other end.
Oh, Binnington was amazing that year. I mean, what are you going to do? Right.
So in the 5, is it 5? 4 playoff years that we're talking about, where he said he had a chance to win. First one was the massive, legendary year of 2017-18. It's not Scheifele's fault they lost to Vegas, right? He was scoring almost a goal a game. The next year against St. Louis, the whole team had troubles against that swarming physical style. And then the following 2 years, he was absent. Like, he was gone. Like he helped with the sweep against Edmonton massively, but I mean, after that, he wasn't allowed to play by the Department of Player Safeties after game 1, right? And then against Calgary, Keith Tkachuk, which Tkachuk was it?
It was Matthew.
Matthew Tkachuk, took him out after that hit. So you've got 2 years where you have to give him a mulligan, so to speak, as in, like, he wasn't allowed to show what he could do in those 2 years. And
his absence really hurt the squad. That's the other thing, right? So
if you are going to get rid of him, you got to find another superstar out there and find a team that's willing to trade that superstar and figure out how to fit that superstar under a cap.
So that brings us to the next sort of topic here. What offseason acquisitions should the Jets be making? I mean, are we pretty set in the goaltending category? I would say maybe we've got some decent goaltending at the moment. Are we set on the defensive end? Because I would give a big fat no on that. And I think we have the right offensive core, the forwards, but now who are we going to lose to the expansion draft and expose and da-da-da? So what offseason acquisitions do the Jets need to make? I think first and foremost, the defensive core needs some attention. Thoughts, gentlemen? Let's throw it to Zoner first. We're going to let him talk before Keith gets all worked up again.
Oh my God.
Let me help you wind you up.
Yeah, you're hurting my feelings now. My face is turning red. You can't even tell.
We can let Keith go first. It's okay.
Yeah, all right, let's
because you said it got all worked up. No, Zoner, you go ahead. It's okay. I don't take it personal anymore.
Passion is good. Passion is a good thing. It's a good
Thank
thing.
you, sir. No, but you still go ahead. No, the mic is yours, my friend.
So the defense obviously needs work, right? Like trade deadline day, there was one of the themes that kept getting repeated by all the experts on TV was that Jets didn't do enough, right? They got Jordy Ben, but they really needed one, and some are actually saying two. They need two top-tier defensemen. They needed not just one guy. Like, that's how poorly they thought of the defense. This is the year that really shows whether or not Chevy is made of gold, as some people think, right? Like, he's got three defensemen who are UFAs, unrestricted free agents: Tucker Poolman, Derek Forbort, and Jordy Ben.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Sorry to interrupt.
Yep, Forbort. So those three guys are unrestricted. Who knows what happens to them? Who knows if they get re-signed? But given their past performance, they were useful. But they were also every time things went bad, they're usually the first guys that people point fingers at, and sometimes with good reason. The other one missing from that list was Beaulieu.
We can get rid of him.
But he's on injured reserves. I don't know what his status is, but he's still under contract. So
man, I completely forgot that he was a Jet. I can't believe that was a name. Yeah, right. And no disrespect to the man. And I know you're laughing at that. Like, actually, like, yes, and that's what happened. He went down with that injury, right, Zoner?
Yeah. I forgot what month it was, but that's how long ago it was. It might have been early March. So I wonder if his injury coincided with their long winning streak. Anyways,
it did, but we're gonna move on from that. Beaulieu being out of the lineup was a huge help.
Yeah, but so this off season is going to be very interesting to see what Cheveldayoff can do to bolster this lineup. There's a few really interesting names out there. Seth Jones wants out, so you think he'd be a good fit? Could we afford him?
That's the question. Is the dollar bills, right? Because he's going to want money.
Yeah. The other name was Dougie Hamilton too. That his contract is up and he might want out of Carolina.
Oh, I have him on my Winnipeg Jets team in my NHL 14, actually, and he just suffered a broken leg for 5 weeks.
NHL 14. I'm just going to say that again.
Because Paul Bissonnette is in the game. It's only because of Paul Bissonnette. Biz Nasty is the man. I had a Twitter handle. I called myself Biz Clean, but it lasted like a week.
So you know that NHL 14 is pretty much like a voodoo doll, right? Like, so you're just doomed him to have a broken leg next season.
Please don't say that. I'm so behind on the game. I just tried to skate. Come on.
So I'm curious what you guys think. Like, I think those two are interesting names, but I honestly think the Jets do need a number one or number two defenseman. They're too small on the back end.
Logan Stanley notwithstanding, of course.
Yes, but Logan Stanley gets 12 minutes a game.
That's the problem.
Versus a guy like Josh Morrissey, who's barely 6 feet tall, 180, who gets like 25 minutes a game. Neil Pionk is the same size.
Because I don't mean to jump in there, but like you said, he's not even 6 feet tall, and it's just so weird that, for me who just started playing hockey, it's like there's a defenseman who's like as tall as me in the NHL. To me, it's just like a way over my head. I'm not even trying to undermine the individual, but it's just like, it's kind of crazy, because you would think the defensemen are just supposed to be these big individuals.
Well, and he mentioned, Zoner, you mentioned Neil Pionk. He's a smaller guy, but he plays like a monster. The one thing missing from his monster game is that booming shot, right? Yeah. And that's something that the Jets are missing across the board, is that bomb from the points. And you've said that all year, Zoner, so...
Yeah, that Neil really needs to work on those wrists this week, this off season.
Yeah,
get that shot going.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, small defensemen, yes, there's a place in the league for them, but you need some variety in your lineup. When the game gets big and ugly and physical, you need the guys who can do that and still be able to play a regular shift and not cost your team, right? So, you keep talking about Biz Nasty, right? Like, if you can't give Biz Nasty 20 minutes a game because you're going to lose every game, right?
Even he knows that. That's why, he knows that. It's just because he's just a big media mogul, and I'm just I'm like, man, look at this guy's confidence.
Yeah. So the Jets definitely need more the Jets definitely need more size and size that can play, right? That you can give 20 minutes to and not feel at risk on the defensive end. And guys who can skate. So today's NHL, you definitely need to be able to skate. You need to be able to make that heads up first pass out of the zone, or you're not lasting not lasting very long in the league. But yeah, I love Morrissey's playoffs. Was not a big fan of his regular season. Huge fan of Pionk. Those guys definitely deserve the minutes they got, but they need help. Right? They can't be the number 1 and 2 and having steep drop off after that, right?
Yeah.
When you look at Montreal, their top 4 were incredible in that it was not.
Jets, right?
Yeah. They had a top 4 that were all quite kind of even, right? Like Weber, Sherratt, Edmondson, and why am I forgetting the 4th one now? Petrie, right? Like the 4 of them were big. They could skate. They could all make that pass. You got Weber and Petrie with bombs from the point, and Sherratt, actually. They could all bomb it from the point. That if the Jets had 1 or 2 big guys, like they may not be out right now. That's it, right? They need improvements on the defense. Yeah.
That actually
brings me ask you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What was your question?
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to shift gears to a different question.
My question's completely off topic.
Okay, then let's go with yours, and then we'll get back on topic real quick.
Do you guys really think? Listen, because I believe everything, and this is based off my conspiracy theory with the Vegas Golden Knights winning that year. You can't believe everything you read on Wikipedia. I've been told this since 2009. But Dustin Byfuglien's Wikipedia says is a free agent. He's not retired or anything. Is Dustin Byfuglien going to shock everybody in Winnipeg and expose himself to the draft for Seattle?
I'm going to go with he's done hockey. That's my impression.
I kind of feel that he's done hockey too. And yeah, that's what I mean.
Specifically to your question, though, he's no longer Jets property.
So he can, though, right? If he's
free agent, as in like he can sign with whomever he wants right now. Right, like if Vegas wanted to sign him to a contract, he could.
But
he
could have done that last year.
Exactly, yeah. Which makes me also think that he's probably done. He's just too lazy to sign the papers. He's just the odd guy, right?
He'd rather go fishing and hang out with his kid. And kudos to that guy. The guy's he made his money. He played a game he loved until he didn't love it anymore, and now he's being a family man and he's doing the right thing. His kid is adorable, and I don't know, like whenever I see him posting pictures of him holding up giant fish, I'm just like, man, you go, Buff. Like, you go. I love it.
All right.
So anyway, shifting gears.
Anyways, before I forget, I'm going to throw this out there to all the viewers. Out of the 4 teams,
stop tapping the table.
Sorry?
Stop tapping your table. You're bumping your mic.
Sorry, no, because I was literally searching this up just to make sure before I get my foot put in my mouth. I'm looking at all the rosters that are involved in the last 4 teams going out for the Lord Stanley Cup. There's only 1 team without a player from Manitoba on that team, or on one of those teams, and that happens to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, this validates what I tell everybody this. It's very hard for the Lord Stanley Cup not to make its way through Manitoba, no matter what team wins it. It seems that, like, there's always somebody, rather a player or somebody on the coaching staff, who gets a day with the cup that is on a winning team. It's absolutely insane, because I think that I started playing hockey in 2014. In 2016, I looked it up. There was literally 2 teams in the National Hockey League who didn't have a player from Manitoba on it.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
I didn't know that, and we're talking about
nuts.
That's crazy. There's a huge Manitoban representation in the league, so that's awesome.
It is crazy. It's something that's like, it goes over my head every time. Ever since I found out about it, I love talking about it. I'm very passionate about that because, I moved to this country in 1993, and when I got my citizenship, they might as well have just stamped my passport and given me a pair of skates.
That's fair enough. We'll jump to the next question here because we're running short on time for this part of the show. But are you supporting or hating on the Habs now that the Jets are out? Are you supporting the Canadian side? Speaking of your whole Manitoban connection and like you want to get behind these teams because they have Manitobans on it, are you now supporting the Habs because they're the representation from the North, or like what are your thoughts? Let's start with Zoner before we get into the craziness that I'm sure Keith has for us, because he's got some. I know you have a theory. I know you got a thing. So let's go to Zoner quickly because I know he'll.
Zoner, take your time.
I do wish the Cup came back to Canada. Would come back to Canada soon. So I'll cheer for the Habs. Why not? They've got some great young talent there with Caulfield and Suzuki. They've got the Manitoban and Edmondson, and they've got Jets alumni Yoel Armia and Ben Sherratt. So
thank you. Thank you.
Your turn.
Yeah,
No, that's all I wanted to say, because like, forget about the Manitoba players. There's Michael, number 70. Michael, I'm gonna probably butcher this last name because my brother's name is Nevin. So McNeven here from Winnipeg, Manitoba, number 70. And then we have Joel Edmondson from Brandon, Manitoba. It's just like, forget about those two, but just to find that Joel Armia and Ben Sherratt found their way on a good team, because I don't brag about it, and I don't say this publicly to people, but when I worked with TSN 1290, the one thing that I noticed about Ben Sherratt in his last 2 seasons here, this gentleman was falling through the cracks. No one cared that he was here. The coaching staff didn't pay any attention to him in the morning skates. He had no engagement in the morning skates, and I literally picked up on this, and I was like, man, this guy, like, they're done with him and he's done with them, and like, good for him. And no disrespect to the Jets. It's just like, that's what I mean. They can move on from players, and they do that, but there's just time that they move on from household names. So I'm just happy to see Ben Sherratt and Joel Armia, because one of my former friends, because we're not friends anymore, and that's okay with that. That's fine. That happens. But Ashish Thawani bumped into Joel Armia at the airport, and when the Jets lost that series to the Vegas Golden Knights, where the fan favorite Mark Scheifele had 14 points in 16 games, he literally bumped into Joel Armia, and Joel Armia says, I'm going back home, and all I'm going to do is work out.
Yeah.
So, like, good for them that they're like, you know what? Like, I'm really happy to see that, like, 2 former Jets, let alone the Manitoba products that are on 3 out of the 4 teams that are in the finals right now. It's crazy. And they deserve to be there.
Yeah, and okay. So then on that point, you're supporting the Habs then?
I support the Habs for 2 reasons, because they're your favorite team, and secondly, I don't want to single out any names from the organization that owns the Winnipeg Jets, but there was an individual there that when I was covering the Jets versus Habs at, I don't know if it was Bell MTS Place yet or still MTS Center, when the Habs score, you think, no matter what arena the Montreal Canadiens are in, I don't care if you don't like them, I don't care if you don't know anything about hockey, I don't care if you don't even know who the Montreal Canadiens are. When the Montreal Canadiens go into any team's arena, there are enough fans for them that they have a following that you think it's a home game, to the point that there was a very high position of power in the organization that owns the Winnipeg Jets, and this individual had some interesting words to say when the Montreal Canadiens scored. It was absolutely crazy. The Habs have the biggest following, and it's hard not to get behind them, because when they, and I'm going to quote Reggie Miller from the National Basketball Association on this, because I stole this line and I put it in one of my articles. Call it plagiarism, call it whatever you want. Montreal is a team that rolls in with the music behind them.
Yeah, they bring their own band.
I can't believe it, and it's scary. Like, I know nothing about the game other than, like, trying to score goals and this and that, but when it comes to a deep fan base, they are a deep Original Six fan base that it's crazy. Like, the amount of Montreal Canadiens jerseys that showed up in Winnipeg, when they come in to play the Jets, I get scared. I actually get scared.
Well, fair enough. There's a lot going on there, so I understand why you would be all on edge about that. There's a lot going on.
And it's not a fear where somebody's going to beat me up, but I was just like, look at how much this team is loved.
Absolutely, and people are passionate about it. So, so you're saying you're throwing some support behind the Habs? Was that
100%? Because it's just like it's hard to write them off. If people, I worked with Rick Ralph, and he can come after me on Twitter or whatever he wants to do. Be like, I didn't say that, but he said, with like Sidney Crosby, there's not a lot of waiting, and then now all of a sudden, like we're writing off like Sidney Crosby's not even like something talked about, and then now the Habs. Oh my God, you can't write these guys off, because if he said it's hard to write off Sidney Crosby, I'm not writing off the Habs one bit.
So then who do you think is going to win the?
But because I have the biggest man. Oh, Zoner, I'm sorry, I'm going off. Give Zoner some mic time.
Yeah. So let's give you.
Now I'm curious what you're about to say.
Yeah.
Well,
once he gets wound up, it's hard to reel him in.
You can't.
No, I'm not wound up. This is just passion, and Zoner's okay with it, guys, and I love it, Mark. It's just Barry Trotz and Matthew Barzal. It's just like great coaching. Like, look at Barry Trotz. This guy has figured out. He got Ovi a cup. But what really puts Barry Trotz as literally the GOAT? He's on Tom Brady's level, Kobe Bryant level, Wayne Gretzky level. Barry Trotz got Ovi a cup. Ovi's mother, in a documentary about Ovi, said, I understand, but until he wins Stanley Cup, he has not accomplished anything. And Ovi would not have gotten a cup if it wasn't for great coaching, and that's all because of Barry Trotz. Okay? And then Barry Trotz got Ovi the cup, okay? Then he goes over to New York, and then he becomes the kryptonite to Alexander Ovechkin, how like Eli Manning, and I have a picture with Eli Manning, by the way, and maybe one day we'll show it on the show. And, Eli Manning became Tom Brady's kryptonite because Eli Manning is the only quarterback that was able to dethrone Tom Brady. And for the fact that Barry Trotz, twice, there you go. Barry Trotz got him a cup, made him lose a cup, and now all of a sudden Barry Trotz is on the verge of playing for oh my God, Barry Trotz is literally the GOAT. He's the only guy who deserves a capital GOAT. Did I spell that right?
Sure, why not? Let's throw this to Zoners. Thoughts on that? Let's keep this momentum going.
I'm still curious what you think about the Montreal there, Mark. You haven't asked your own question.
It's cheating because I'm a Montreal fan all growing up. So, of course, I'm going to throw my lot in with Montreal. Now that the Jets are out, 100%, I'm going to throw in behind Montreal and hope that, as you said earlier, like, I want Canada to have a cup. It's been forever. When I was a kid, 1993, I watched Patrick Waugh, get to hoist that cup. And a couple of years later, he told off his coach and effed off to Colorado, and things in Montreal were never the same.
I'm going to play for the Habs.
What's that now?
No, that's what he said, right? This is the last game I'll play for the Habs. The guy was on the bench.
He even said, I'm going to Colorado and I'm going to win the cup. And he went to Colorado the next year and won the cup. So, and he would never have done that had the Nordiques not moved. So we could get into all the crazy.
And he told Jeremy Roenick Zoner, you left Winnipeg what year? Because Mark's going to love this story.
97.
Okay, when you were still here, do you remember if there was a nightclub called the Empire Cabaret? Oh, he just laughed. Yes, he does.
No, I don't remember that one.
Oh,
go ahead.
So there was Whiskey Dicks there, and I met Jeremy Roenick there, and it's just like, yeah, no, I totally get it. I totally get where you guys are going with that, because Jeremy Roenick had the same things to say about what you're saying there.
So anyway, so to answer the question about Montreal, for me, of course, I'm going to follow and support Montreal. I'm a huge, I was a huge Habs fan my whole life, and moving to Winnipeg didn't make me not a Habs fan. It just made me a Jets fan who also very much likes the Habs. You know what I mean? So I've definitely living in because this is the first time I've ever lived in an NHL market. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, huge Halifax Moosehead CHL fan, right? So in the QMJHL over there, I got
season ticket holder, please
see a ton.
don't ever. You have to tell everybody that. If I have to tell everybody that every time I'm with you or on the show, I will. I'll always jump in. I want people to know you're a season ticket holder. That shows your love for the team.
Well, I love for the team, love for the game, love for the talent that's produced there and through the CHL in general, but Halifax very much in particular. And then on top of that, you know what I mean? I love the game, and then I moved here and I adopted the Jets as my team, and you know, I love the Jets, but now that they're out, of course I'm going to throw in with Montreal. But that doesn't answer the question, who do I think will win the cup? That might not be the same answer. So do you think, and we'll start with you since you're like on fire today, before we move on.
New York Islanders, because of Barry Trotz.
Barry Trotz.
Like Averman in the Mighty Ducks, it said, I don't know, and he goes, great coaching, and everybody said for him to shut up. But that is because Barry Trotz figured out how to beat these teams, and Barry Trotz makes my heart smile, and he makes my stomach drop, and like I don't know, I don't know. I love him.
Oh, serious man crush here.
Yeah, big man crush. The way he gets it, because like there was I watched this New York Islanders segment, and it was literally titled, "How do you explain playing for Barry Trotz?" And guys went off with saying, determination, running through a wall. And I was like, how is there a guy who can bring out the best in his players? And let me be honest with you, like, I will be very surprised if the New York Islanders do not win. They're my pick. If Barry Trotz is in the playoffs, whoever he's connected with, they have a chance. And forget about a bandwagon, forget about being cliche. I'm behind him. And if I could dominate social networking, I would literally have a hashtag that says believe in Barry.
I love that. I love that. So you're picking the Islanders.
T-shirts.
I like that. So then Zoner, let's jump to you, sir. What are your thoughts on that?
I am picking the Vegas Golden Knights. They won 4 straight against Colorado.
I know it's hard, hey.
And it's against Colorado. And Colorado had no major injuries that we know of, no suspensions, this was Colorado at its prime, its peak. And the games were super exciting, lots of speed, lots of offense, lots of good goaltending. And Vegas survived. They just their style is, well, we talked about being the Borg, right? A couple weeks ago or a couple games ago. Like Montreal, their defense is the Borg. Well, Vegas's offense is a Borg. They all play the same way. Each and every line, they're fast. They hit. They hound you until you cough the puck up. It's relentless, and I'm really curious to see how Montreal's D holds up. But I have a feeling that those 4 guys eventually are going to get worn down. Like a couple of Alex Tuck hits, a couple of Ryan Reeves, however you explain what he does. Eventually those guys are going to wear down, and I think Vegas is a team of destiny.
Zoner.
Yes, sir.
I literally have to acknowledge that, because even though I don't want to say it, like, walk around thinking about it, the Vegas Golden Knights, especially by the leadership of Mark Stone, they are a very scary team, because I've seen the hunger from this team, and it's, in the back of my mind, they might be the team that literally comes out on top, regardless of who I'm supporting. And I'm not trying to jinx anything, but like they say you can't bet on your team, and you can't bet against your team. That's why I don't bet on the Lakers, and that's why I don't bet against the Lakers. So Vegas is a very tough team to write off. They're almost becoming how Rick Ralph, right, Mark? For how Rick Ralph said that, it's hard to write off Sidney Crosby. And Zoner, I'm going to acknowledge what you just said there. It's hard to write off the Vegas Golden Knights.
100%. So listen, I'm going to throw my pick in, and then that's it for this half. We're going to take a break, and then I will be back, and we're going to be talking Valour FC with a completely different panel. It's going to be me and this other fella, Adam Johnston, who is a passionate Valour fan. But I'm going to throw out my prediction for the win. I have to agree with the Vegas Golden Knights. They're just so strong. And the way that they dispatched who I really, from the beginning, midway through this season, I was picking Colorado to win. And then game one of that series, I really expected them to win. And then what ended up happening was they got absolutely steamrolled at the end of it by a Vegas Golden Knights team that used, like you said, Borg. We are Borg. There was unrelenting pressure the entire time. Every time Colorado did anything good, Vegas had an answer. I don't think there's a single team in this league that can stifle the Vegas Golden Knights when they play the way that they did. They got some amazing goaltending from an absolute legend, and all of that goes towards saying they're the team to watch, in my particular opinion. So between the three of us here, I picked Vegas. We got Vegas from Zoner here, and Keith, you're picking the New York Islanders in a Barry Trotz love fest, which I don't have any problem with. They are playing possessed hockey too these days. And I also I want to throw out that I love that they eliminated the Bruins. My uncle Doug is not going to be as happy, but he's a huge Bruins fan. There's a lot of Bruins fans in Nova Scotia. There's a huge connection between Boston and Nova Scotia. So we'll get into that on another day. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. For you watching out there, give us 5 minutes. We will be right back with some Valour FC information and conversation. So join us then. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for being so patient out there. Greatly appreciate your patience on that end, everyone. I'm very excited to bring in our next guest. But first, I just want to remind you, you can follow us on all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. We greatly appreciate that. Liking and following and sharing this video goes a long way. If you're commenting after the fact, that helps us out as well. Just comment, say hello, say whatever you like. But comments, likes, shares, all that really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And we would greatly appreciate that. You can also call or text the WPG Sports Line, 431-800-4555, or you can email the LZ at thewpg.ca. If I could read, this would be great. So we're going to run another quick advertisement, 30 seconds. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Make your house a better place to come home to with Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We've been delivering complete customer satisfaction for over 40 years. Whether it's a fully completed backyard escape, a completely renovated bathroom, or a premium upgrade on outdoor furniture, Aquatech is the only name you need to know. That's because if it's an Aquatech job, it's an Aquatech team working on it. No outsourcing, no subcontractors. We do it all. Visit our one-of-a-kind showroom today at 1065 Dugald Road. Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We create better places to come home to.
Hello again, and I'm going to introduce you now to the fella joining me, and there's this whole movement, and he is a founding member of it. It is called Red River Rising, and I'm going to just type that in there, Red River Rising. So now I can introduce him. This is Adam Johnston. Thank you for joining us here, sir.
Good day. Thanks for having me on this Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. We're always excited to talk sports and Winnipeg and all of that. And now we have the opportunity to do it twice as well, because we have 2 hours. Normally we do the 1 hour format. This is our first time doing 2 hours. We're going to talk Valour FC. I'm very, very excited, to be honest. And let's get right into it then. First of all, because you're from Red River Rising, which is this organization that sort of helped spearhead the movement to get a CPL team here, why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, so basically, Red River Rising has been around for more than 4 years. Basically, we're like the supporters group for Valour. And what we do is bring the noise every game. And like I said, we've been around for more than 4 years, and we've helped promote the game of soccer, bring interest to get more fans in the stands, so we can have a very lively atmosphere. If you've been to a game, you would understand how loud and noisy our section is, and section 144. And looking forward to another season of it shortly. Hopefully, once the restrictions are loosened, we get people back. We can get in the stands hopefully by later this summer.
And to that point, and I sit in the trench with you. And by the way, the fan supporter section is called the King's Head supporter section, section 144 of IGF Field. But the trench is like right at the front there, and it's chaos. That's right where I sit. That's where you sit. So we see a lot of each other during those games, and a lot of swearing, a lot of cheering, a lot of it's good times. It's a fun time out there.
Yeah, it's a different sporting atmosphere compared to other sports teams in the city, and that's kind of a good thing. And that's what's unique about going to a soccer game compared to a Jets game or a Bombers game or as a Gold Eyes game. There's constant chanting, singing, and noise for like 2 hours. It's like a Jets game or a Bombers game or a Gold Eyes game. I mean, a lot of Jets fans are noisy. The thing with the Valour game is, and our supporters are always constantly bringing noise, bringing the passion for 2 straight hours at a game. So you're never going to get bored at our games. So.
No, it's true. My daughter, who is now 6, but she was going with me the inaugural year to a lot of the games, and she loved all the cheers. VFC, VFC. Like she just loves all the cheers. She loves them. And she's just a huge nerd when it comes to soccer and stuff and supporting, and it's a lot of fun. So first of all, the bubble is here this year. How did that all go down?
Well, I guess that's a very good question. From my understanding, was that the league was looking at a bunch of various sites, including one in Atlantic, Canada, even one or two in the States to start off the year, because obviously we can't have fans in the stands given the provincial health restrictions in all the provinces. So they just wanted to do a bubble format to get at least the start of the season going. And, Winnipeg was chosen. And so here we are. Starts June 26th is the first league game, but our first game is on the 27th when we play Forge. So that should be good times.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw the graphic up on the screen there. We do have those games in. Just the graphic on the screen is just the schedule for June, which is those two games, 27th and 30th, against Forge and against the HFX Wanderers, my hometown.
Oh wow, nice.
I'm from Nova Scotia myself, and then on top of that, we've got the entire July calendar up there as we know it right now. Obviously, they say things are subject to change based on COVID and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the whole bubble, what they're calling the CPL kickoff is happening in Winnipeg, which is very, very cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and it allows us an opportunity to show off IGF Field as a world-class soccer venue to the Canadian soccer audience. So I'm very happy about it, even though there's not going to be fans in the stands at the beginning, but still it is nice to see that we are chosen for the beginning part of the season. Hopefully that afterwards that by August, or later in the summer, that we can go to the stands with the certain rules and regulations. It would be nice to get to support our team in in section 144 again before the season ends. So.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Question next would be, so Valour FC players to watch. Who is the most exciting one or two players, maybe 1, 2, 3 players that you think people should be keeping their eye on this year?
I think one of the players that I'm really excited about is the new signing, Brazilian signing, Rafael Gallardo. He's from Brazil, and he's a good player. He's been around. He's won a few titles in Brazil, including with Flamengo, a club in Rio, as well as he won the 2017 Copa do Brasil with Grêmio, which is a team club in southern Brazil. So I'm very excited about him. I'm also excited about a new player that they've also got on loan from Chivas Guadalajara, Rodrigo Reyes. He's young. He's 20, and he's spent a good chunk of their 2021 season with the under 20 side. So they're under 20 side. So I'm kind of excited about to see where that goes. And of course, nice to see the veteran midfielder come back, Jose Galan. Big fan of the guy. He's been around the world, and he's building roots here in Winnipeg. Yeah, I'm excited to see him back. He's a class player. He's good. He's done a lot of good stuff here in the community. So just excited to see him back. He's going to shore up the midfield. So I'm excited to see what this team does. What they've built on from the previous year, and they had a good solid defense last year. Now it's like hopefully they can see some goals and hopefully move up the standings and hopefully challenge for a title this year.
What are your thoughts on the captain choices that Rob Gale made this year in Daryl Fordyce and Jean-Baptiste?
I think they're good choices. I think with Andre Jean-Baptiste, he's proven himself as heart of the defense here last year during the Island Games. So I'm glad that Gale has chosen him as a captain. I think he's going to bring a lot of his experience to the locker room and provide guidance for the team this year. And for Daryl Fordyce, strong veteran player, he's going to do very well to also provide guidance with his experience in the locker room as well. So good choices, I think.
What a difference, though. Hey, 34 years old versus 20 years old. That's a big difference.
Yeah, I know it's you know, that is quite the difference, and you know, I'm quite excited to see what happens with what the captains can offer this year in the locker room and what guidance they can bring.
So, with that said, I'm very excited about like the captaincy, and I think Jean Baptiste was a great choice, as you said. He's a real leader on that team, as young as he is, and again, Darryl Fordyce, he can't shake that experience. And I think he was born in Ireland, but he's a Canadian citizen, like a Canadian national, right?
I'm not totally sure. I don't know if he is a Canadian national or not. I don't know the complete story of that, but I do know he did play with FC Edmonton a few years ago in the NASL. So, yeah,
got some experience
for sure.
Yeah. So then the next thing would be, where are Valour FC's vulnerabilities? So what positions are we really needing to sort of shore up before we hit the season full stride, in your opinion? Because I think in the goaltending area, we might be a little less secure than I would like, and that sort of thing. So where do you see us sitting right now?
I think some of the challenges that Valour has upcoming, I think, is goalkeeping for one. I mean, that's always a position. I mean, last year, Hetimus was really great on loan, but from this year, they've got Silva in, who used to play with York. I think he'd be okay, but I think that it'd be, like I said, goalkeeping is always a challenge. But I think you can always use some more attacking players. I think that's going to be where the goal is going to come from. Where they're going to come from is always another question that I've noticed, is that when Bustos left, is where are they going to come from last year? And but defense, I think, will be okay. Under Jean Baptiste in the back, so I think that's one thing that they did improve on, was the shoring up the defense last year, and hopefully they can at least be gritty in the back, so they can at least mitigate, any attack on the other side when they try to score a goal. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and what vulnerabilities they can at least mitigate heading into the season.
What are your thoughts on William Akio? Because I think he's a guy who can change games, and he's got a lot of net front smarts. Like, he knows where to be, and he knows how to cause chaos for against his opponent's defenders and all that kind of thing. What are we thinking about him, as far as you were talking offense being such a nice defensive weapon when you can score goals? Helps out on the other end as well. So
yeah, no, I think that's it's a good choice. I think it'd be quick and fast, and hopefully that it can score a few goals for us this upcoming year. And like I said, the more goals we can get, the better. Like I said, that was always one of the issues. Like, where would they come from when Bustos left, and after the first season, and as well as Petrasso. So I'm interested to see what happens this year on the offensive side, for sure.
Jean Baptiste is 30 years old, not 20. I'm an idiot. Don't worry about me. I'll go have a nap. It'll be fine. I don't know why my math did that. It was like 1992. Oh, that's not that long ago. It was a long time ago, and I forget how old I am sometimes. So that's fair.
Gotcha. We're all getting old.
I know. Like the year 2000 and what is it? 2003 can drink now. If your birthday is on this day or previously in 2003, you can drink in this province.
I was 18, like 1998. So I remember that day. I was actually watching Argentina and England World Cup that day. So
yeah. So 2003, I was, people who can drink now, I was 20 when they were born.
I was 23 at the time. So
yeah. So you get it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So after we're we got those players to watch, we got all this stuff. So the big question, and I have an answer that, might be controversial to some of the article writers out there, but should we have faith in Rob Gale? Rob Gale has this plan, and he knew, you need 4 to 5 years to go from zero to, where they want to be, and should we have faith in Rob Gale? we all cheer for the coach with yellow hair and all that. I honestly, I think we should be supporting Rob Gale. I think his plan has been working, and the team is getting better and better all the time. Now it's a matter of keeping up with all these weird rules, and certain number of minutes have to be played by certain players from Canada who are under the age of this and over. So it's not the same as a lot of leagues where you can play just who are your best 11 and go. It's not like that. So, what are your thoughts here? Should we be throwing our faith behind Rob Gale, like I think, or because there's a lot of negative articles saying, maybe he should, we should look at other options, and his strategy might not be working for us. I think it's working if you give the whole plan, to see it through.
Yeah, I know. I think it is. I think it is working. If it is a 5-year plan, what he is planning to do, I think it is slowly working. I mean, they did improve last year. Like I said, the defense did improve, and we did see signs in the Island games that this team is moving on the right track. And like I said, I think this year is the critical year, in this plan to see where they're going to go. Will they step up, and continue to advance and continue to move forward and move up the standings this year? I think they do have a good chance in moving up, above that mid-table, and maybe top 3 or 4, and I think that's important. There was progress made last year, and this year I think there will be some progress, and hopefully that progress continues into year 4 and year 5, and hopefully by then that we will be within the cusp of winning a championship.
Agreed. I think a top 4 finish is absolutely not outside of the capabilities of this squad, given what we have right now. So yeah, it's only going to get better as we go.
For sure. And I think, like I said, top 4 is very reasonable, possibly top 3, but definitely top 4 is very reasonable. And as long as that progress is being made, I think that it's good to have a steady hand leading the team, rather than always having managers being axed every year or two just because something didn't go right,
Exactly. And so that's where I'm at. I think give the guy a chance. Let him play out his plan. The first year was a little disappointing. We ended up at the bottom, but that's not the be all end all. It was the first year. It's a short season overall. There's only 8 teams in the league, 7 teams year 1. Yeah. So, with the addition of Atletico Ottawa, we've got a nice round 8 teams in the league, and more teams to be added. The plan was to have, I think they said 20 teams by 2030 or something like that.
Yeah, I heard that, and the idea of having a Division 2 as well. But that's like I said, that's a work in progress. I know that Saskatoon was awarded an expansion franchise, whether they're in 2022 or 2023, that or whatever, that remains to be seen when they, But it's nice to see that eventually Saskatoon is going to be a part of the mix. And there's always the idea of like a Quebec team, like Quebec City or a suburb of Montreal. There's also the idea of Atlantic Canada, another team on the West Coast, like a suburb of Vancouver. So, I mean, you're going to hear that, this league is going to be growing, and hopefully, once this pandemic is over and you can get in the stands, that, the attendance will be there, that this league will be sustainable for future generations to come.
And on that point, I really think that it benefits a lot of squads not having to travel a lot through the first part of it. And they put obviously the bubbles directly, like Winnipeg, there's no major city closer to the dead center of Canada than Winnipeg. So
for sure. Like, we're right smack dab in the middle of North America. So, I mean, so as far as like hub cities and access, this is the easiest to get to. Little bit of controversy given our COVID numbers right now. You mentioned the pandemic, and speaking of plans to make 20 teams in the league by 2030, that might have a little bit of a monkey wrench in it, because this pandemic has really limited the way that seasons can be played. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Just I'll briefly talk about it. It's not just that the pandemic affected this league; it affected pretty much any sports league as well, and the challenges of those leagues having to recoup that revenue and expansion plans. We know that MLS, one or two expansion teams had to bump back their debuts, like Charlotte, North Carolina. So, I mean, it's affecting leagues all over the world, and just the challenges of how they're going to recoup that revenue, whether it's bigger TV contracts or trying to get fans back in the stands as soon as possible. I know with gate-driven leagues like this one, getting those fans back in the stands sooner than later is critical. That, yeah, like I said, be interesting to see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, I'm curious how that all sort of ends up playing out, but there's so much unknown. And they don't even know, like, so speaking of the CPL this year, we've got the bubble, which again, I'll just throw those graphics up real quick, right? This is your season this is the July schedule. And you notice it ends on the 24th. And there's a whole week where there's, it's unknown. But the thing about that is that, honestly, I hit the wrong button there. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring it back to us. But when you're trying to be the producer and like this COVID is hurting everybody. I can't have an assistant. I can't have anybody here. But I will point out that my point was that the rest of the season is unknown.
Yeah, it's unknown. Like we don't like the bubble does end on July 24th, and there is the hope that afterwards, like at the beginning of August, that that most provinces will have a majority of people at least have one shot, if not two shots vaccinated, and that the restrictions will be loose enough that at least 25% can get in the stadium. So there is that hope by Terry Fox Day that does occur. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. I know, like last year with MLS, they did it like piecemeal, where it was like they had the MLS's back tournament, and then they released the schedule afterwards of like teams like traveling, competing amongst each other, like in bits and pieces. Like, so I could expect that type of situation happening where they're going to do this in piecemeal format. Like they're going to perhaps maybe have the next set of games schedule released later in July. I can't say for sure, but that's my own experience, and I understand what happened with MLS last year. That's what I could see happening this year. So
yeah, and on that point, my first, because I booked my vaccine appointment like a while back, and like I still haven't got my first dose. My first dose I'm getting on the 21st, I think.
This month, your first dose?
This month, yeah.
Okay.
So, have you got yours yet?
Funny story about that. Yeah, I got my first dose back at like April 28th, like 2 days before the end of tax season. I do taxes, so it's just like, yeah, it was AstraZeneca, and like, I know the night after I got my first shot, I was at my other job, call center job, and by the end of the shift, I was like, I'm not gonna go for my late night walk. I'm got the chills, and the next day they were gone. So I mean, there was side effects. Then I don't think I'm gonna get my second shot till the end of July. So I'm just looking forward to getting that second AZ shot and just hopefully at least see some normalcy back. And that's why I think that they're kind of delaying the second part of the season, is they want to see enough people vaccinated, hopefully that get back in the stands by August. So.
It's insane to think that like there's a professional sports league basically playing the entire thing by ear.
Yeah.
It's like, let's see what happens. We'll throw things out, and if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. And this is sort of where we're at. So, I mean, how pumped would you be if they decide if you're fully vaccinated, you can come to the game? How pumped would you be?
I'd be really, really excited. I'm really looking forward to it. So, if that does happen, I'm sure that there'll be some sort of, policies that you have to either vaccinate or at least have a negative COVID test to enter the stadium. I don't know, but that's just my thinking and my understanding when reading about, how certain events around the world are happening. So that's kind of what I'm guessing happen. But like I said, I'm just excited that hopefully that by, late summer that we can go back to IGF Field and be rooting for our pro soccer team in Section 144. So
yeah, VFC.
VFC.
VFC. There's like, and one of these days on the show we should just teach everybody one cheer per show, and then when they go to the games, they'll know what all the cheers are. So
for sure.
The simplest one is literally put your hands up in the air. You go VFC, VFC, ad nauseum.
VFC.
It's just over and over and over and over and over again, until the other team is annoyed with us, which is great.
Yeah. Let's annoy the other team. That's what we need to do, is just annoy the other team so we can win as much as possible at IGF. We should make that stadium the hardest stadium to win in the league. And
IGF Field is considered, it is the most high tech, the best stadium in the league.
Yeah. That and Tim Hortons Field are probably the two most advanced stadiums, and they're both CFL stadiums. So
right, yeah. So then that's the Forge that play out of Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So I'm just so excited for the year. Do you have any predictions as far as which team do you think has the best chance of winning? Because Forge has won twice in a row now?
Yeah, they've won 2 times in a row.
The first year they beat
the first year they beat Calvary in the final, and then last year they beat HFX Wanderers. So I think can't rule out Forge.
Little asterisk there. As much as I love seeing anything Halifax be good, little asterisk is that the Island Games last year was not a full season. It was a tournament. So it was a tournament. Very different sort of format. This year they're looking to have an actual full-on campaign.
Yeah,
not some
games.
bubble. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say this right now. I think you can't. I think obviously Forge and Calgary are probably your top 2 teams. I don't know about Halifax. You can't rule us out. I mean, it is a very wide open league. Besides Forge and Calvary, you could pick a needle in a haystack after the top 2. It could be us, third, or it could be Halifax. I mean, you could pick any team. It is a wide open.
Halifax has made some changes. They've got some good stuff coming on. So I'd watch out for HFX. But Forge has to be the choice. I think the easy choice to go probably, not knowing what the future brings. They have the history. They've got the experience. They've proven they can do it.
Yeah. Like I said, even Calgary, you can't rule them out. Like I said, outside of the top 2, I mean, you could pick straws, honestly, who would be the 3rd place team, 4th place team, etc. Like Atletico Ottawa, like us, Valour, York United, maybe FC Edmonton. But like I said, it's pretty wide open. I mean, Pacific, I kind of like what Mr. Kaw has done there in Pacific. You got that team going in the Island Games very well. So, I mean, like I said, it's a wide open league outside of the top 2. So,
yeah, I'm excited to see what the rest of the season brings, and I don't want to freak out and just get all we could win this. Well, I mean, we have there's 8 teams in the league. We could win.
Yeah, we have our squad is getting better, and we do have a good we are building towards the future, I think, and I think Gail's plan is progressing, and I think there'll be progress this year. Continued progress. That's what I want to see. I'd love to win a championship, but I just want to see progress. I want to see long-term growth. That's what I'd rather see than just one-off championships. So
I'm with you there. I want to thank you very much for being with me. I don't have a lot of other subjects prepped for today because it's I mean, we're still like a couple of weeks away from kickoff, and I want to leave some stuff to talk about next week and all that. You're welcome to join me next week as well. Always welcome here, sir. So thank you very much. For you watching at home, don't forget to follow us on all the social medias. Adam Johnston, anything else you would like to throw in there before we bid adieu to our audience?
It was a pleasure, Mark, and I look forward to coming on the show more often, especially with kickoff in 2 weeks.
In Winnipeg. Want to point that out? Big deal. We get it here.
For a month. So I'm excited. So, I mean, if you can next week, if you want to preview more, I gladly can come on for a little bit next week as well. So
that'd be awesome. Excellent. And there's other Red River Rising members, is the word I was looking for, that just escaped me for a second, that are more than welcome to join as well. Possibly Kyle will be joining us from time to time, and I think Nikki was one of the other people in there. There's some folks I don't know as well. I know you guys from sitting in the same row as you and yelling at the same people as you. So there's a certain amount of people that I'm like, I don't know you, but I feel like I know you,
I don't know you, but I know you.
Yeah, I stand shoulder to shoulder and I yell at the same people as you. So it's good times. Yeah. But anyway, so all of you follow us on those social medias. Again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, all of that. Again, like and subscribe. That goes a long way. Helps us out with all those internet algorithms and whatnot. Comment if you're watching this after it's live. If you're watching after the fact, throw a comment on there. Hit us up on the WPG Sports line. Call or text 431-800-4555. Email the LZ at thewpg.ca. So we will be back 1 p.m. next Sunday right here at the WPG Magazine's YouTube page, Facebook page, and Twitch channel. So until next time, we'll see you then.